Japan is escalating efforts to prepare its citizens for war, with Tokyo hosting its first ballistic missile evacuation drill. It seems Japan is still fearful of North Korea despite tensions easing on the peninsula.
North Korea is only a handful of months away from being capable of striking the mainland United States with a nuclear weapon. This, according to the head of the Central Intelligence Agency. The latest assessment by Mike Pompeo comes after the North tested 3 intercontinental ballistic missiles and conducted its 6th nuclear weapon test last year. In an interview with CBS aired on Monday, Pompeo said North Korea's nuclear weapons program is continuing to expand, advance, become more powerful, more capable and more reliable. He added that Washington is working diligently to extend that timeline.
Japan is escalating efforts to prepare its citizens for war, hosting its first ballistic missile evacuation drill. It seems Japan is still fearful of North Korea, despite tensions easing on the peninsula over the Winter Olympics. Hundreds of Tokyo residents wore grey bibs and prepared to seek underground shelter as about 200 employees blared an ominous warning that a missile had been launched. Several other Japanese cities have already undergone similar drills in recent weeks, but it was a first for the capital. However, some seem skeptical that such exercises could go very far in preparing for the worst. There were also a few protests outside places where Monday's drill was conducted, with demonstrators saying they were only fanning missile fears.
A massive security checkup on the Olympic venues has begun, and the experts from various agencies will carry out their duties meticulously to ensure safety to athletes and spectators. Our Lee Ji-won files this report.
The Pyeongchang Olympics Counterterrorism and Safety Center started its security sweep of the Olympic venues on Monday, beginning with the Pyeongchang Olympic Village, where some 4,000 athletes will be staying during the Winter Games. The security sweep will check all the facilities and equipment to make sure that there is nothing potentially harmful inside the facility and that everything runs properly before the venue is open for use. Some 100 personnel from the Counterterrorism Center, military and police force, fire department, and other organizations took part in the checkup using tools such as metal detector and bomb-sniffing dogs. A total of 23 Olympic venues will be checked between this Monday and February 5th, with 5 venues for VIPs and the International Olympic Committee to be checked by the president's security teams. Once the checkups are complete, the team will keep the venue safe from possible threats by stationing security guards and organizing committee members at key locations, as well as operating smart CCTVs and X-ray machines both inside and outside of the venues. Meanwhile, Korea's Road Traffic Authority said Sunday that the Olympic lane will be in operation for the whole month of February on roughly 60 kilometers of major roads, including a number of national routes and parts of the Yeongdong Expressway. The roads allow Olympics-related vehicles to quickly transport athletes and authorities to the Olympic venues.
What do you think about this? I just want your, overall idea in terms of North and South Korea banding together in this march that they'll do during the Olympics, and also this ice hockey team. What does this mean?
Well, first of all, this whole Olympics participation by North Korea in the South Korean Olympics that start next month, it is in a sense a Trojan horse. The North Koreans are trying to use the Olympics to create a sort of pro-North Korean feeling in South Korea. They want money from Seoul. They also want Seoul to move away from Washington, in other words, to drive a wedge between the two alliance partners. So the North Koreans are up to no good. Now, with regard to this women's ice hockey team, as you point out, this is the first time that North and South Korea are fielding a unified team in a sport. And the one thing that this has caused a problem for South Korea's Moon Jae-in, who is sort of very pro-North Korean, is that most South Koreans, not only conservatives, but also his own political base, don't like this. More than 70% of South Koreans are against the unified team. And largely it's because South Korean athletes who trained for the last 4 years are being turfed off the team in order to make way for North Koreans. And people in South Korea, even if they like President Moon Jae-in, think that this is really unfair.
I mean, really, if you think about it in that way, it is. But I know you and I discussed before he took over as president there in South Korea that they knew coming in that he believed in negotiation with North Korea, that he believed that it was possible to discuss things with them moving forward, and that would be his strategy.
Yeah, so he was chief of staff to Roh Moo-hyun, who was the most pro-North Korean of South Korea's president. He governed from 2003 to 2008. Roh Moo-hyun had a peace and prosperity policy, which was essentially giving unrestricted amounts of money to North Korea over an indefinite period of time, because the feeling was that North Korea would eventually come around. But the problem is that during Roh Moo-hyun's administration and during the preceding one of Kim Dae-jung, What happened was the North Koreans became more provocative as they got more and more of Seoul's money. And so this has been proven not to work. It sounds nice, but it's a matter of theory. But in practice, the North Koreans have used this very much against the South.
Right.
And now, if they were to get money from Seoul, which they are for the Olympics, they're going to use it not for athletics. They're going to use it basically to launch missiles, detonate nukes, and engage in other dangerous activities. So this is really going to be an issue between South Korea and the rest of the world that wants to see an end to North Korea's programs.
I wanted to ask you that finally, Gordon. How does that impact what we're trying to do, what the United States and President Trump is trying to do in terms of North Korea?
President Trump's main policy is to cut off money flows to North Korea. South Korea is paying the cost of hundreds of North Koreans who are going to attend the Olympics. There are just a few athletes, but there's a 140-strong art troupe, a 230 cheerleaders, a taekwondo instruction team, all the rest of these people, maybe 600-700, they're going to be paid for by South Korea. That undermines UN and U.S. sanctions.